Tim, what's going on? How you been doing, buddy?
Hey, Dave, how's it going, bud?
I am good. I am very good. Just getting ready for this UFO report and hanging on out. And you know what, man? I love guests like Ruger Ridge. I really do. It's just those
Yeah,
true face value stories, man, from locations. It's just wonderful.
so many great stories. That's incredible stuff.
You're not too talkative tonight. Your throat okay? You doing all right?
No, I have been talking a lot today, bud, but I'm going to do my best for you. I'm here.
Well, that's the team spirit. That is the team spirit, especially wearing that picnic cloth for a shirt. That's very
That's right.
nice. Very nice. Very much appreciate that, bud. Well, it's good to have you here because, there's so much going on all over the world regarding UFOs. Last week was a busy week with the big photograph that came out, which I'm still not sure if it's a UFO or not. The Calvine incident and
You're
the
so
photograph.
skeptical.
I,
Oh, so skeptical.
I try not to be.
Hmm.
I try, but I don't know. I mean, I just don't know.
You have to shake hands with it to tip you over the edge.
Well, we'll see. I see you're starting off with a very, very tight subject here. One that just grinds my gears.
Oh,
Grinds. I think you do this on purpose.
it's in two of my stories tonight. I lined it up for you.
NASA, NASA, NASA.
That little four-letter word.
Oh, never a straight answer.
Such a good little four-letter word, right?
Oh,
Grind your teeth.
you know what? By the time we're done with this whole UFO talk, I'm going to have to head to the dentist for dentures because I'm going to be grinding my teeth down so much here. UFO study, NASA's UFO study apparently really isn't looking for aliens, according to Scientific American. What's this say?
So, in a recent article from Scientific American, across his years of studying auroras, the famous aurora borealis in particular, University of Calgary physicist Eric Donovan has periodically seen pictures and data showing something strange: a curve of solid purple light swiping across the sky with linear green features glowing beneath. Looking at photographs, Donovan realized the lights actually lived in an quote-unquote unidentified bucket that he didn't understand. They also didn't have a name, so he and the Aurora Chasers started calling the phenomenon Steve, after a name a group of animals give to shrubbery they don't understand in the children's movie Over the Hedge. So soon, Donovan and his scientific colleagues teamed up with the Aurora Chasers to try to track down more apparitions of Steve, to observe it, attempt to understand the mechanism behind it, and change an unknown into a known. And so that's also the thrust of a new NASA project led by Princeton University astrophysicist and Simons Foundation president David Spergel. In early June, spurred by a series of highly publicized UFO sightings documented by U.S. military personnel, NASA announced that it was initiating a modest study of unidentified aerial phenomenon, UFOs or UAPs. For nearly a year and a relatively meager total budget, circa $100,000, 8 to 12 experts will work on the UFO independent study. It's a goal to identify data, information that has already been gathered or that could be in the future from NASA and outside organizations, and analysis techniques that might advance the scientific understanding of UFO and UAPs. The narrative of quote-unquote Steve People notice something strange in the heavens above and decide to dig deeper. Could someday play out similarly in the space agency's effort to learn more about unidentified things in the Earth's atmosphere. So, Dave, what do you think about this comparison to this independent study taken to look at this phenomenon that they decided to call Steve in the Aurora Borealis to what is going on with this independent UFO dig by NASA to take a look at UFO UAP?
Well, as you pop open your pop can there, it was a beautiful sound, by the way, and I really want a Pepsi right now. But I'm not sure I fully understand what the Aurora Borealis has to do with anything regarding UFOs. All right. Look, we need more top scientists staring up into the stars. We need more top scientists looking into this. And when we looked at that $100,000 that NASA was going to allot to open up their own UAP studies, which they know there already are UFOs, we laughed at it. And I think there's a lot of people probably behind the scenes who have probably went to Bill Nelson at Russia or at NASA, Russia. Where did Russia come from? But at NASA, Tim, and said, what are you guys doing? See, what we don't get is the behind the scenes conversations of what is going on with a lot of these stories. So the last few months, as everybody knows, I have been whining and griping about NASA treating us like we're fools. We've done a couple of Dave 101s on them. But in the end, Tim, we don't know what politicians are talking to about NASA or insiders or government officials who may be saying, look, guys, you're playing us for fools here. You're playing us for idiots. You're playing the public for idiots by saying you don't know what is going on, right? So I'm not sure what the full spectrum is of what NASA is trying to accomplish. It just doesn't make sense for me, Tim.
Right. Right. And I think that the comparison made here by the Scientific American is obviously kind of digging into the fact that NASA is kind of more of the nuts and bolts. And so they're not looking into so much of rhetoric or anything historical. They're looking for something a little more factual. And so what we saw in this particular case was a group of individuals that decided to take a phenomenon into their own hands and see if they could collate some data from it. And so in this particular case, these are the Aurora chasers. So they made it a science, they made it a group, and they go out and photograph the phenomenon. And occasionally it seems to turn into this solid band of green and purple light. And the photographs are actually available. If people are looking, they can check scientificamerican.com and check into the story. And it's absolutely beautiful phenomenon that is displayed by the Aurora. And I think the comparison here is that it's some sort of data that we can look at. That was a phenomenon, right? That we can't really put our heads around. And so what the idea is that they collate data, they get good photographic evidence, and then they study that phenomenon until they can put it into a box that's understandable by either scientists or perhaps stays in the gray question box, as we may see with the UAP.
Yeah, I don't get it, though. You know, maybe I'm looking at this way too naively because I don't fully understand how NASA can sit there and, in my opinion, insult people. All right. They can sit there and say we're nuts and bolts all you want. Great. What did your astronauts see? What did your pilots of the X-15 rocket in the 60s see? This is what we need to know. And why they keep, tip-tapping around the entire subject. It just seems like they're just trying to save some sort of face after everybody's laughing at them. And everybody should be laughing at NASA. And once again, this is where I'm going to say, because I know you got another NASA story coming up here. Okay. But when you go on Twitter, if you're one of the people who are in the Twitterverse or on Facebook or wherever, and you see people complimenting NASA for getting into the UFO game, okay, shut it down politely, but shut it down. These groups like NASA need pressure. They need pressure from the UFO community. They need pressure from the public because they are lying. And I hate using that term lying, Tim. It just drives me nuts. I don't like being accused myself of being a liar. I don't like accusing people of being a liar. Okay? But with NASA, it's too obvious. It's absolutely too obvious, Tim, that they are lying to the public. How many more astronauts do we need to come out?
Yeah, and I think we can group SETI perhaps in this frustration box of organizations that aren't being fully clear and transparent with information and subject matter. So keeping the focus on NASA, I like how you said you wonder what's going on behind the scenes at NASA, and that the public needs to put pressure on these organizations for transparency. I think that's absolutely true. I think the way to pry that open is to find friends within these organizations, and somehow, with their assistance, pry data out. And people that don't have NDAs can talk about things, right? But again, I completely understand your skepticism. I, however, am somebody that believes that there could still be some truth to their motive of looking for life outside of our solar system. I do feel like, or at least off planet. I do feel like NASA originally did get involved to look for that, the exploration of space. And I grew up with that understanding. And so I still have that dreamy star in my eye when I talk about NASA. So I reserve a special place for it, and I'm excited for the next story on NASA tonight.
Well, so I'm excited about NASA too. Okay, I love NASA. I love watching rockets go into space, or growing up where, and I'm gonna date myself here, but remember they used to haul in the television on the stand with the strap across the top, and we would watch the shuttle launches.
Do you remember when the teacher went up?
Yes, Krista McAuliffe.
I watched that happen in class.
Me too.
Brutal.
I remember our principal coming in, interrupting class with the television, and said, "We need to watch this because history has just been made." And that was the day the Challenger blew up.
Yeah.
I mean, we all, if you're a 70s kid, you watched that in school. You did.
It was a big deal.
And a 60s kid, I guess, as well. But I mean, the idea behind it, though, Tim, is this. We all love NASA on the front. We do. We love watching their rockets. We wait in anticipation to see humans walking on the moon or on Mars again. Because for many of us, that wasn't in our lifetime, right? It really wasn't. That's coming on 50 years. Wasn't in our lifetime. And the idea that we haven't done it again, we want to see it again. We want to see, NASA succeed in what they are supposed to do. I'm not interested in what the International Space Station and taking, hearing about the scientific experiments of taking rats up or plants or whatever. I understand the reasoning, but I want to see somebody walk on the moon or on Mars. And that excites me. But we also have to, call the ace of spades every now and again. And when you're lying to the public in the media and on social media, You have to be called out for it. You do. We're going to continue with NASA talk on the UFO Report. Mr. Tim Seanor is here, filling on in. We will be back with more Spaced Out Radio when we return for the final half hour next. There's nothing more that irks me than when you go on Twitter and you see all these UFO Twitter people who are smart people, okay, going, yay, NASA, great job, great going and getting into the UAP game, you know, and all of this crap, right? I don't like that. I don't like that at all. You have to call them out. And I remember the other day, about a week ago, a guy did this, and I tweeted back. I said, no, don't cheer on NASA. Don't cheer them on for this. There's 60 years of secrets and lies and cover-ups. Okay, we can list the astronauts. It's all recorded. We can list the X-15 pilots, the Bell X-1 pilots. We can list them all. We don't need to, you know, praise NASA for something they've had exposure to for 65 years and are now playing dumb. Don't need it. And it bugs me, man. Hey, Hallie, how you doing, man? It bugs the living daylights out of me. You know, Tim, I'm going to use the word stupid, but I hate that word. Okay. My father used to call me stupid growing up. So it's a trigger word. It's a trigger word for me.
Yeah.
But I guess the better word would be ignorant, and how ignorant people are that they will blindly support anything to do with UFOs without looking at this. And I understand the argument. Many people will sit there and say, hey, Dave, you know, we have to support this. You know, we need NASA on board. And yeah, we may not be getting the truth publicly, but behind the scenes, maybe we are. Maybe they are telling why we haven't gone back to the moon, or what's, you know, why we haven't shot for the stars like Mars or something closer since then. I get that. I understand that. But it doesn't mean that NASA shouldn't take the pressure. Okay, look how much that same pressure, Tim, that same pressure has got the United States government working on this. That same pressure is happening here in Canada. Okay, it's starting to happen here in Canada. That pressure literally got this in front of Congress. Even though nothing was said, it got it in front of Congress. And these ignorant people are like, yay, NASA, you do this. Go, Bill Nelson. 60 years of lies. 60 years of cover-ups. 60 years of spending multi-millions of dollars per astronaut and telling them to shut the fuck up when they get home.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I do have two issues. I'm obviously a NASA supporter. I love anything that's scientific, looking at anything. And I grew up with this as my understanding of some way to look into space, you know, and obviously I'm a big fan. However, I do absolutely support you in, and I've said this before, in how NASA is outwardly just negating everything that our astronauts have ever said or tried to say, and they've been quieted through NDAs. They've had to write books and they've had to do deathbed confession videos and things. And I find that heart-wrenching for the families and them themselves. So absolutely agree with you there.
Yeah.
And then the second point is, you and I have seen photographic evidence from NASA that would blow this thing out of the water. And that just, evidence of something, right? If that was public, and if we were even, well, we've talked about it, but if we were able to share that, or if the source was able to share that, I mean, that's the sort of thing that like is frustrating, because the evidence exists. And so for the fact that that they're spending all this money on something that they have in their own files, potentially, of course, that is incredibly frustrating. That's just not made public. Why should we be the only ones that are, we're not the only ones, but why should we be special on that information, or anyone for that matter? It should be public. And so that secretive sourcing of information is extremely frustrating.
Here we go, buddy. Rounded third, we're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Thank you so much for joining us. Dave Scott's my name. Doing this radio thing is my game. All right, let's continue on here. Reminder to you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with the UFO Report. Little Timmy Seanor is here, hanging on out, wearing his beautifully patched together picnic shirt. Yeah, you can imagine what it's like in Radioland, but it is gorgeous, And let's continue on with NASA, my friend. Artemis 1 moon mission briefings and mega rocket rolled out this week. This is what I'm talking about. This is the stuff and the juice that I need to hear.
I'm telling you, buddy, I am extremely excited. Couldn't wait to bring you this story from space.com. And so if you go to space.com, this is going to be the way to watch NASA's Artemis 1 moon mission briefings and mega rocket rollout this week. So 3 NASA Artemis 1 teleconferences and a mega rocket rollout webcast will showcase the moon mission from August 15th to August 18th. NASA's Artemis 1 moon mission is poised to launch a new era of U.S. lunar exploration this month. You can learn the science behind the flight and watch its towering rocket head to the launch pad in a series of webcasts this week. Artemis 1 is an uncrewed test flight of Massive Space Launch System, or SLS, mega rocket, and its Orion spacecraft, which NASA will use for crewed flights to the moon later this decade. The planned launch date for Artemis 1 is August 29th, with the 2nd and 5th of September as backup days. The rocket will roll to its pad on Tuesday, August 16th, which you'll be able to watch online for free on space.com, as well as NASA's website, NASA TV, and the NASA app. So, Dave, I'll be watching. Super excited. We're getting back into the moon race. I can't wait.
Well, it should have been done a long time ago. All right. And whether it was budget, whether it was no trust or nobody to build these, it is nice to have goals. We need to get back to the moon. We need to go back there. We got to have something happen before China gets there. It's just one of the things that I think really needs to happen. And I see that there's a push for that. The other thing that about this is this the start with this rocket, if everything goes, even though, I still think rockets with the secret space program are quite obsolete. Does this get us closer, Tim, to getting back to the moon, number one, but number two, look at setting up some sort of facilities on the moon?
Absolutely. Look at who is equipping NASA with this rocket. I'm sure you can probably guess. And so we know that there's already objectives on creating Moonbase Alpha. And so once that takes place, they have somewhere to set up. Um, we already have supposedly the technology to set up remote bases. So we could launch a rocket that lands and inflates basically a habitat that is livable. Um, and so this was done by Bigelow. It's been done by a few other things, but we know SpaceX is obviously supplying the rockets, and their technology also has links for using the same batteries that are used by Tesla for moon cars. So the theory is that we could have Moonbase Alpha through Z and just cruise with our electric powered cars from base to base. And, it's going to be KFC and Starbucks and whatever you like up there at some point. I do feel like that is our, big plan. Somebody at some point said that there's already talk of the first McDonald's on the moon. So who knows what the future holds? I think this is definitely the first step, and the next decade's going to show it.
As long as I'm not going until they get a Taco Bell. I'm not going until they get a Taco Bell up there. Once they get a Taco Bell up on them, I know everything is going to be safe.
You're hilarious with the TB. I love it, man. Stick to your guns.
Oh, man. The amount I advertise Taco Bell on this show
should be a sponsor.
They should have given me a franchise right now. Never mind sponsoring this show. They should have given me a franchise by now. They really should have.
I love it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're definitely a Taco Bell spokesman. Look at you. Forget about it.
Oh, goodness, what I wouldn't do.
You ooze Taco Bell. You drive so far for Taco Bell too, my friend. So
I'm going to tell you right now, okay? This is God's honest truth. I'm not here this weekend. I'm going to my nephew's wedding, and then on Saturday, and then on Sunday, I am my daughter's having a gender reveal party for our grandchild that will be born in December, my first one.
Fun.
And I'm telling you right now, on the way down, there's a Taco Bell. And my nephew's, who's getting married, is very, very gaseous. So there is nothing more that I'm going to enjoy than sit there at his wedding in front of all the family and friends, and then I'm going to make him pay the price.
That's great. You got big feet in the backyard that are flatulent. You're creating a plan for it yourself at this gender reveal. You're a heck of a guy. I see a theme.
I am that guy. I am that guy. I am that guy.
When I heard earlier that you heard the rumbling out back, like the sound of the... I think it's Bigfoot. If you didn't see the bear, it could...
No, I don't have Bigfoot in my backyard. That's a rumor that's been going around this show for years since I moved up here. I don't
Sounds like
have...
you just passed wind in the backyard.
No, but dude, it was absolutely hilarious. It was. So for people who don't know, like during our break at the top of the hour, which would have been about 90 plus minutes ago, I decided to go outside and get some fresh air. And I have a studio in my house. And I go outside, and all of a sudden, like, I can't see into my backyard. That's how dark my backyard is. Can't see in. And I start hearing this noise. And it sounds like a kid riding a bike with a baseball card. But nobody ever does that anymore. It puts a baseball card in the spokes. and let alone at 10 o'clock at night, my time. All right. There is no darn way, dude, that there's children out at this time. And I hear this noise and it goes on for about, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds. And then it stops. And then the next one started and it stops. And then this little one happens. And I'm dying laughing here because all I can think of is, somewhere Yogi is in my backyard, probably got some rotten berries off one of the trees. And now poor guy's having diarrhea somewhere in my backyard.
I think what it is you're hearing echoes and you're just trying to blame the bears.
No, I wish it
your
was.
chat.
Your
chat is throwing you right under the bus. They're like, we've heard Dave.
Of course they had.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just terrible. Just terrible.
Your radio
All right.
audience is just lost right now. Poor radio audience.
Radio audience, they're classy people, the radio audience. I'm suspect of some of our YouTubers. Very suspect. Like there. Very suspect. But third topic of the night, because we got about 5.5 minutes to get into this one. Where are they from? Here, there, or everywhere? Tim, what's going on here?
Well, I just dug this one up out of the old Tim brain. This was on my mind, and so I thought I'd bring it up to you and see what you think. So I came up with 3 options of where they are coming from, the phenomenon, UFOs, if you will. So the ancient aliens theory, where they're from here, they've always been here. They're probably part of our history that we just, don't talk about. The second is that they're interstellar, right? They're from somewhere far away and they've figured out a way to get here, maybe a wormhole. And then the third is multidimensional. And so that opens up tons of questions and possibilities. But I figure it's got to be somewhere, hopefully, at least within these 3, from here, from there, or from everywhere, right? What else is there? So, Dave, help me narrow it down. Do you at least have one favorite?
I want them to be from out there. I don't want them to be from, like thinking of all these grays and everything being from, in the future. I don't want that. There's something romantic, sexy, and downright absolutely terrifying if there is a life form out there somewhere watching me. Thank you, Bumblefoot. All right. That has the technology to get here. The UFOs I have seen, okay, I'm not saying the ones that are like dots in the sky, but the UFOs that I have seen clearly, from on the ground to the triangles above my house, they scared me. They scared me more than anything has scared me in my life. And it scared me in a way that I'm doing a radio show over it now. Okay. like it scared me enough to push that, Tim. And the idea that of answering one of life's giant questions, are we alone in the universe, is something that I take very seriously. And I don't think we are. I don't think we're alone in our universe. I don't think we're alone in our own solar system. And I think that's where I want to focus. I think at times we've complicated it a little too much, because we hear inner Earth, we hear different dimensions, we hear time travelers, and that's just my opinion, right? Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't we be scared over that topic? That if there is some other humanoid being that can get here from Zeta Reticuli or the Pleiades or Alpha Centauri or any constellation out there, Orion, that can get here.
Yeah.
At at the snap of a finger or whatever it takes them. That to me is scary. I don't know if it's in a good way or a bad way yet. I'm hoping a good, but we don't know.
Right. Right. Especially with a phenomenon that seems to display a little bit of all of that, a little bit of ancient aliens, that they've been here forever and, probably are still here from then at the bottom of our ocean, in our solar system, just right in front of us, but we just can't see them because they're cloaked or whatever that may be. The interstellar concept is definitely, like the sexy, scary story. I mean, Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, Interstellar. I mean, come on. It is that very tantalizing explanation to something that is probably much deeper than just that. Because if they are getting here, they must have a mastery of time and space, and distance. And, it's a physics that we may not understand. It may be a physics that's in their realm makes sense. And here is just something that we can't even perceive. The multidimensional part definitely scratches into a surface of, quantum entanglement and quantum physics that I know the label of, but by no means understand. So I can say the word and sound intelligent on it, but I absolutely don't understand it. And I'll be completely honest, and my friends know that because I ask them about it all the time, and I've read things about it, and it doesn't help me internalize really what it means, because it's a really deep concept. So I think it could be a little bit of all of those. And I also think that it could be not just one thing, because just as we as organisms live on a planet with multiple millions, billions of different organisms, I believe that space could obviously hold the same thing with multiple abilities of control. And there could be one that's been here all the time. And there could be another that helps seed it. And then there could be some that are traveling interdimensionally, multidimensionally. And then there could be some that, are coming from other planets, literally, physically, and have mastered time and space and distance.
Well, maybe one day soon we'll get the answer that we need.